Hello and welcome to Getting Creative with Carrie Ann. Today we are going to paint a watercolor frog. Now there's two ways you can go about doing this. You can freehand it, and that's what we're going to be doing today. But if you are uncomfortable with your drawing skills, you can also print off a picture to go off of, or you can even use that tracing method we used with the silhouettes. So the first thing we're going to want to do is make the frog's face. Now the frog has kind of an oval face, and they have large round eyes, just like so. Now the face usually follows the eye line, with it being kind of rounded here, just like so. And that's where we have our eraser that comes in, and we can erase whatever we need to erase. That's the best part about drawing, is you can erase your mistakes. Alright, so we have our eyes. Now frog eyes are pretty unique. They can have the pupil that goes perpendicular to the ground, or they can go horizontal. So make a choice on what direction you want the frog's pupil to go and just fill it in. Just like so. Now frogs usually have kind of a grimace or sometimes a smile. It depends on the frog. So we have that going on, and you can make your eyes more pronounced if you want to. Depends on if you're going off of a picture or if you're just kind of freehanding it. So we have the head going on. So now we need the body. Now the body's kind of a long oval, just like so, just like that. So we have that kind of oval going on. From there we need the arms, so we're gonna make, you can choose to make some cylinders, because obviously they have an elbow just like we do. And then that cylinder goes down like this, and then we have a nice little froggy hand that generally has some round pads at the end of its fingers. And they usually have approximately 4 toes up front here. Just like so. And then you just erase those extra lines. Now the back leg generally comes forward with a knee. So we have a cylinder like this, and then it generally folds back on itself like this and comes forward with the front foot, which again has 4 toes. So you can just kind of sketch out your toes, just like so. So we have the left half of the frog's body, so let's go ahead and make the right. So these arms you're not going to be able to see as much, so it'll just be the forearm going down into that padded hand here. With the 4 fingers there. And the back leg you're not going to see a whole lot of, so there's the knee, and then we have that long foot. Just like so. Alright, so now we have our frog ready to go. Let's erase any lines we don't want showing, or any lines that are too dark that we want to lighten up. Okay, So the first thing we're going to want to do, you can choose to do this or you can choose to move right onto the frog, but I am going to add a background. And how I'm going to do that is with my big brush. I'm going to get my background wet. Make sure your brush is nice and clean, your water's nice and clean. And we are going to move across the background. And adding water as we go. And when you get up to the frog, you're just going to follow the edge of the frog. And we're going to do our background in 2 parts, or a little bit more depending, because it gets a little more complicated around the legs. But let's get the first half of our background done, and I think I'm going to give it a nice light green background. So we're just going to take a little bit of green and smooth it along our background. Just very faint, you know, rainforesty. Maybe we'll put in some darker tones for leaves. Let's do that. Let's put in some darker tones back there. If it's too dark, add some more water. There we go. All right, now we're going to start to go downwards. We want to match up with the middle here and follow our feet around. And again, start with that light green, adding dark greens if you wish. And then I'm going to go down on this side, making sure it meets that midpoint. And then I'm going to be switching brushes. So let's finish getting our background here, and then we'll switch brushes to a smaller one. And some darker green tones in there. Alright, let's switch to our number 4 brush, because it gets a little more complicated when we get really close to these limbs. So we're going to fill that in, connecting the water as we go. And you just get right up to those fingers and then add your color. And then we'll go to the other side, connect that water. And you want to work relatively fast because you don't want your background to dry real soon while you're working, because you want to be able to blend it into one another. Right up to that point, adds my green. Maybe some darker tones in here. Alright, and I didn't add any darker tones on this side, so let's do that. Alright, you can see where I didn't get in between his tummy and some of his other toes that still need some water in there. All right. Alright, now we need to let it dry. But while we're letting that background dry, we can go ahead and do the eyes of our frog. So I'm going to start with some transparent yellow, and I'm still going to use my number 4. And I'm going to cover the whole eye in with that transparent yellow. Now frogs are pretty unique. Their eye colors are very bright and vivid, ranging from yellow, orange, and a red. They could even be a green color to a blue. They have lots of different color options. So I think I'm going to take a little bit of red with mine and circle around the iris here. Give it kind of a two-tone eye. And we'll let those dry. Alright, now that that background is a little bit drier, we're going to take our transparent yellow and I'm going to cover my whole frog in yellow. We're going to be doing layers, so think of it as just the base layer of your frog. So you could do a light green, a yellow, depending on what kind of frog you're thinking about doing. Maybe it's a poison dart frog and you want to do blues or reds or oranges. But I am going to start with the base color of transparent yellow and just fill them all the way in. And most of the time frogs are dark on the top and they're light colored on the bottom. So his chest will be kind of that yellowish color, and I think I'm going to fill in his top half with green, and I'll get darker as we go. Now my background layer is still kind of wet, so it'll kind of spread and blend. And you'll see we can get darker as we go by adding other colors. So his legs will be nice and green. Feet are a different color. Maybe we'll go this way and add in some green here. Next I'm going to use kind of a darker green. Let's see what we can do here. On there as well. And I'm going to make his feet nice and red, or maybe an orangey color. Alright, we're getting closer to the detail work. So in here, the lighter color needs to be more defined with a little bit darker. So I'm going to add another layer of yellow, and we're going to add some depth in here. All right, now it's time for some details. So let's get a smaller brush. The first thing we're going to do is go around the eyes and do the pupils, and then make the lines around the eyes. So let's use our black. So I'm using my number 2 brush to do the pupils. We just want to make sure that they're nice and straight. Just like so. And then I'm going to get my 0 brush right there and use some black. I'm going to make it nice and watery so that I can slowly go around the eyes. Just like so. I'm going to do the same for the other eye. And then I'm going to take some of that dark green with my number, or my 0 brush, and I'm going to kind of outline the frog. And frogs always have like these little nostrils that go right here. Just like so. And then I'm going to take that dark green and make his mouth again. Being very careful not to go too much into the yellow. And we may even want to make it a little bit darker with some blue. And then just like so. And then we have some other lines that we're going to want to put in. The back of his head, which goes down like this. Just maybe wrinkles a little bit, just like so. And then taking that dark green all the way down his body. It Doesn't have to be perfectly straight because frogs aren't as smooth as you think they are. So we're basically just outlining specific features on the frog, like the knee, just to give it a little bit more definition. And then to outline the body that's pretty bright yellow, I am going to go with an orange, just to offset it a little bit while we're going. And you can make this blend in just a little bit more by having a clean brush with water and just spreading out that orange a little bit. So then the line isn't as noticeable, but it's more noticeable than it was. Just like so. And I see one little spot that I want to get in the back here. As it curves around this way. Now let's do his feet. I'm going to use just a tad bit of a darker red to help outline some features on his toes here. And just give them a little more definition. And remember, if it gets too dark, you can always just wash your brush. Make sure there's some water on there, and then you just spread it out. And we'll do that for each of his feet. Alright, now we're going to add a little bit of white to his eyes. So if you have a white marker, that'll work, or you can use white acrylic paint if you don't have white watercolor paint. Let's see what it looks like. All right, so there is our cute little watercolor frog. Let me know what you think. Give me a comment or a like, and subscribe to this channel. And I might be picking you as a recipient of this beautiful watercolor frog postcard. See you again next time.